I spent 26 years cleaning the floors of the Henderson County Courthouse, and I never once saw a criminal as effective as a mother who just wants to help. Every night, I'd mop up the mud people tracked in, the red clay from the construction boots, the slush in January. And every morning I'd go home and track a different kind of mess into my daughter's life. I didn't realize that until I tried to turn on a blinker for a woman who was 52 years old. My name is Lurleen Clanton. I'm 81. I was born in 1945, right as the war was ending, which I suppose explains some of it. We were collectors. We held on to things. I'm sitting here in my trailer right now. It's a 2-bedroom, nothing fancy, wood-paneled walls that are starting to curl up from the floorboards, near the radiator. There's a leak I haven't called about. I don't want to bother. But what I'm looking at, the thing that's been staring at me for 18 weeks, is this brown vinyl recliner in the corner. It's a Lazy Boy. Bought it back in 1988. The little lever on the side snapped off years ago, so there's a pair of rusted vice grip pliers clamped onto the metal nub so you can still kick the feet up. It smells like peppermint. Stale peppermint, and that mentholatum rubbed my ex-husband. Ray used to put on his knees. Ray and I divorced in 1994, but he'd still come over. We'd eat at the Luby's every Sunday like nothing had changed, which confused the hell out of the neighbors. He'd sit in that chair afterward and groan about his joints. Ray's been gone since 2021, but I still wipe the dust off the headrest every Thursday morning. I haven't sat in it once since October. No, I can't. You ever have an object like that? Something that's just a piece of junk to anyone else, but to you, it's a witness. Listen, I need you to understand something about the courthouse. When you spend 26 years watching people come in and out of those wood-heavy rooms, you see how fast a life can tip over. One bad choice, one missed payment, one person you shouldn't have trusted. I saw it every night while I was pushing that industrial mop bucket. I walk with a lean now, you know. My left hip is higher than my right because of how I had to shove that weighted bucket. It's a permanent tilt. And my hands, look at them. I don't know if you can see on the camera, but the cuticles are yellow, and ammoniac. I never liked those fancy latex gloves they'd give us. They always tore on the corners of the desks, so I just went without. My skin just drank it up for 2.5 decades. I decided way back in 1978 that my daughter Jolene wasn't going to have a life that tipped over. She was 5 then, 5 years old, and I started smoothing the road. I didn't just give her a map. I drove the car for her as she sat in the passenger seat. I thought I was being a mother. I didn't want to cause trouble. That was my mantra. I'd say it to myself every time I stepped in. If I can just handle this one thing, Jo won't have to struggle. If I can just fill out this form, she won't have to worry about the fine print. I mean, the world is not done. It's mean, you know? It's hard. I just thought if I could just take the sharp edges off for her. But I guess I just took the edges off her too. I didn't want her to have to fight like I did with Ray or the county board. I thought I was being a good parent. I really did. I'm telling you this because I bet you're doing it right now. Maybe not with a kid. Maybe with a friend or a husband. You're doing the work for them because you're afraid of the mess they'll make if you don't. Look at 1991. Jolene was 18. She should have been picking out her own life. Instead, I sat at the kitchen table and filled out her community college application. I even practiced her handwriting so I could write the personal essay for her. I picked general studies because it was safe. It wouldn't lead to any big, scary risks. I told myself I was saving her time. I told myself I was helping. The thing is, I'm still doing it, even now. 18 weeks after everything broke, Joe's mail sometimes ends up in my box by mistake. She only lives 6 miles away, and I find myself pre-sorting it, tearing the junk mail so she doesn't have to. It's a sickness. I know I'm doing it, and I tell myself I'm just tracking prices or helping her stay organized, but I'm really just trying to stay in the driver's seat. You see, most people will read this. Well, watch this. And they'll nod. They'll think, oh, Lurleen, you're just a devoted mom. Then they'll go home and do the exact same thing. They'll do it because the alternative is sitting in a silence they've spent decades avoiding. I have this habit, and I don't even know I'm doing it half the time. When Jolene is talking to me, I find my thumb pressing into my own wrist. I'm checking my pulse. It's like I'm making sure I'm still alive because her life is so quiet, so muffled, that I'm afraid we're both disappearing. It's the same reason I buy those Great Value brand peppermint patties every Tuesday. I eat exactly 3 of them. I need that sharp, cold snap of the mint. I need to feel something that isn't just soft. Everything in Jolene's life is soft because I padded all the walls. I remember 2014. It was just an ordinary Tuesday, nothing special. Jolene had been asked to accompany dinner at the Sizzler. She was 50 then. No, wait, 2014 minus 1973, and 11. What day? Always sound. Adanan. Arainto. Gansal. He was 41. My math is getting fuzzy. Anyway, she was a grown woman. I told her, you don't want to go to that, Joe. It'll be loud and you'll have to talk to that supervisor who smells like cigarette. And she just looked at me. I guess so, she said. I'll just stay here. I felt that little surge of pride. Well, I'm not saying you can't go. I'm just saying it's a lot of bother. No, you're right, she said. It's a lot of bother. I'll call them. I went and made Dinty Morse too. The canned kind. We sat there and ate it in silence, and I felt so righteous. I'd saved her from a night of discomfort. I didn't even notice, or I chose not to see, the way she just stared at the blank TV for 40 minutes after dinner. She wasn't resting. She was hollow. Does that make sense? I was so busy protecting her from the world that I forgot she needed to be in it to be a person. Then came last October. Tuesday, 4:45 p.m. We were in Jolene's 2012 Chevy Impala. It's a plain silver car, smells like the little pine tree air freshener she keeps on the mirror. We were driving to the CV's pharmacy to pick up her maintenance meds, blood pressure stuff. I was in the passenger seat. We were coming up to the turn on Main Street, a turn we've made 10,000 times. And out of nowhere, out of sheer habit, I reached my hand over the steering column to flick the blinker for her. I'd been doing it for years, just reaching over, like she was a student driver and I was the instructor who never got out of the car. And I heard myself. It wasn't planned. It just fell out of my mouth. I've turned you into a ghost, haven't I, Joe? The car went so quiet I could hear the heater clicking. Jolene didn't say a word. She just kept her hands at 10 and 2. Her hair, it used to be this thick chestnut ponytail. But now it's this thin, brittle gray blonde she keeps in a plastic claw clip. It didn't even move. I pulled my hand back like I'd been burned. I gripped the door handle so hard my wedding ring bit into my finger. I still wear it, even though Ray's gone. Habit, I guess. Right then, I felt this prickling, like I'd walked through a spider web in the dark, and it was sticking to my scalp and the back of my neck. My heart wasn't racing, it was just heavy, like it was made of the same red clay I used to mop off the courthouse floors. And you know what I did? I didn't apologize. I didn't cry. I reached into my vinyl purse, pulled out a $3 off coupon for CVS brand ibuprofen, and I spent the rest of the drive straightening the crease in the paper. I made sure the corners were perfectly square. We got the meds. We went home. We ate dinner. I remember the smell in the kitchen that night. I'd used too much Pine Sol in the mop water to clean the trailer floor. That smell? It's linked to it now. Every time I smell industrial floor cleaner, my stomach flips. It's like I'm standing at the top of a flight of stairs and someone just gave me a shove. It takes me right back to the night shifts at the courthouse in '82 when I'd be scrubbing and thinking about what Jolene was going to wear to school the next morning. I'd already have her clothes laid out, matching socks, everything decided. I thought I was being a mother. I was actually just being a warden. It took weeks for the weight of it to really land. You think you have these big epiphanies, but it's usually just a slow leak. I almost fixed it once, you know. Back in 2008, Jolene had an offer to move to Abilene. A dental office job. A real chance to have her own place, her own life. I'd even bought the good luck card. I had a $50 bill tucked inside. But at the last second, as we were standing in the driveway, I looked at her and said, "The tires on that Impala look a little thin, Joe. I don't know if I'd trust them on the highway. It might be a sign." She stayed. She didn't even argue. And I told myself I was being protective. I hid that card in a shoebox under my bed. It's still there. The $50 is still inside. Every time I see that shoebox, I feel this. It's not a pain exactly. It's a taste. Like pennies. Metal. I'm 81. And I'm just now realizing that I didn't protect Jolene from the world. I protected myself from the silence. If she left, who would I be? I was the woman who cleaned up the messes. If there was no mess to clean, I didn't exist. I look at my neighbor, Eamon O'Shea. He's 3 trailers down. Eamon's Jewish, came down here from Chicago years ago. He's got this permanent crust of dried drywall mud on his left earlobe. I don't think he even knows it's there. He's got a son, 45 years old, lives in a shed on Eamon's lot. In 2019, Eamon spent $1,214.62 on a brand new John Deere lawnmower. And you know what he did? He chained it to a post with a heavy-duty padlock. He won't let his son touch it. He doesn't do it right. Eamon told me once, he'll ruin the blade. I'm teaching him respect for tools. I used to watch Eamon's son sitting on the porch, just throwing rocks at a plastic bucket, while Eamon mowed the grass. I thought, what a stubborn old fool. He's suffocating that boy. It's funny, isn't it, how easy it is to see the chain when it's made of iron and a padlock. But when the chain is made, if I want to cause trouble, and I'll just do it for you. We call it love. The absurd part is, Lynn, 1. Well, here's a story. Last month, I went to the Save-A-Lot. Eggs were $2.19, which is a sin. But that's not the point. I bought a bag of cat food for Jolene's cat. I accidentally grabbed the generic store brand kibble instead of the mal mix she likes. When I got to Joa's house, we both just stood there in the kitchen. We stared at that bag of food for 6 minutes. I timed it on the stove clock. Neither of us said a word. It was like that bag of food was a live grenade. If we talked about the cat food, we might have to talk about the blinker. We might have to talk about Abilene. We might have to talk about the fact that she's 52 and doesn't know how to choose a cereal without looking at me first. So we just stood there, in silence, over a bag of cheap cat food. I realized then that I've raised a woman who is empty. She isn't easygoing. She's just waiting for instruction. And that's on me. I learned that doing everything for your child is just a slower way of making sure they never grow up. That's the version I'd tell you if we were sitting at a diner. It sounds true, doesn't it? But the real truth, the one that makes me flinch, is that I was so terrified of being unnecessary that I crippled her spirit just to keep myself employed. I used her life to fill the holes in mine. We call it love when we make someone dependent on us, but it isn't. It's a way of not having to face the fact that we're alone. We'd rather have a ghost in the house than an empty room. And Ray, I think Ray knew. That's the collateral damage no one talks about. Ray didn't just leave me. He left a house where there was no room for him to be a father because I'd already written all the lines. I remember seeing him, sitting in his truck in the driveway after work. He'd sit there for 22 minutes. I timed him once, just staring at the steering wheel. He was a visitor in his own life. We called it a mutual disagreement when he moved out, but the truth is, I crowded him out. I'm telling you to do something I still can't quite do. I want you to keep the phone this week. Call the person you've been protecting, the one you've been making excuses for, or the one you've been doing the heavy lifting for because you're afraid they'll fail. And I want you to say this, and it's going to be clunky, and it's going to be uncomfortable. I shouldn't have said what I said about your choice. I was just scared for myself. They're going to say it's fine. They always do. It's the easiest thing to say. And when they do, there's going to be this long, itchy silence. Don't fill it. Let it sit there. And then, after you've both suffered through that silence for a few seconds, you say, "It wasn't fine, and I'm going to stay out of it from now on." I know how that sounds coming from me. I'm the woman who still pre-sorts the mail. I'm the woman who still keeps a notebook of what Jolene should buy at the grocery store. I haven't taken my own advice yet. Not fully. I want to. I really do. But knowing and doing, those are two different zip codes. I look at Jolene's face and I see that 5-year-old girl standing on the curb, waiting for me to tell her it's okay to jump. And I'm terrified that if I don't tell her, she'll just stand there forever. Maybe she will. Maybe that's the price of what I did. This channel is for people like me, people who are starting to see the patterns they've been knitting for 40 or 50 years. If you've lived through something like this, if you're the one who's been helped into a corner, or the one who's done the helping, I want to hear from you. Subscribe it. Leave a comment. Tell me what resonated, even if it hurts to say it. The thing is, tomorrow is Thursday, and tomorrow morning I'm going to go over to that brown lazy boy. I'm going to pick up my damp rag. But I'm not going to wipe the headrest. I'm going to go to the vice grips clamped onto that broken lever, and I'm going to take them off. I'm going to put them back in the toolbox in the shed. I'm going to leave that chair broken, not because it fixes anything, but because I'm tired of pretending that things in this house are working when they aren't. What's your version of that? What's the one thing you do on autopilot? The napkin you straighten, the mail you sort, the excuse you make that you know isn't for you anymore? Sit with that for a second. Don't answer me. Just notice what your hands do when you think about it. Mine are shaking. Just a little. I'm sitting on my side of the bed now, the right side. The left side is perfectly flat, empty. It's been that way since Ray left, and then more so since he died. It's 6:14 p.m. My phone just buzzed on the Formica tabletop. It's a text from Jolene. It says, "Eating dinner now. Pot pie." I'm looking at the screen. My thumb is hovering over the letters. I want to tell her to make sure she heats it all the way through. I want to tell her to eat a vegetable with it. And I type, "Okay." That's all. Just okay. And then I put the phone face down and I listen to the radiator click